Good morning and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as one, providing spiritual tools for daily living. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Reverend Tucker. I'm the senior minister here at the Oasis, and supporting me is this wonderful team that God has provided me. Let me start out with my faithful assistant, Faith, who's basically been my assistant since the day she was born. Her dad, she was about 3 weeks old, I think, when she started coming to church, and her dad was running the soundboard, and he'd have her in one hand and run the soundboard with the other hand. And when she got old enough to crawl, she crawled right up on the stage like she belonged there. So we left her there, and I would just step over her as I was talking, because I used to roam when I talked. And then we put her on the podium so she could help me do announcements. And I think people paid a lot more attention to the announcements when she was up there, which I didn't mind. I don't take it personally. And then when she was old enough, she and her sister used to be ushers, and so they would hand out the affirmation cards at the end. But her dad was a tow truck driver, and he'd go to these out-of-town tows, and he would drop the girls at my house. And my house has always got projects going. So, I put the girls to work, of course. If you come to my house, you get to go to work. And so when Faith was 14 and a half, she said, I want a real job. And I said, okay, I've seen your work. And I hired her for my ozone business. And she was an excellent assistant at the ozone business. So when we went live during the pandemic here at church, I said, do you want to be my ministerial assistant? And she said, yeah. I'm like, okay. So here we are. And so I couldn't do this without her. Trust me. She does all the background stuff. All I have to do is speak and poke at a couple of things, because the cues.
Refresh the...
Huh?
YouTube is just being YouTube.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. But she also is the one that answers you as me whenever you say hi, hello, good morning, which is how we like you to do it, because in a facility, I can look out and see the shining faces beaming back at me. And here we get a number. We don't even get names or anything. So please say hi, hello, good morning, however you want to greet us, and Faith will answer you as me. And then later, I'll go back and look at it and make sure that she answered all of your questions. I've only had to add something 2 times in the last 4 years, so she's pretty good at this. And she is our soloist. So today we're going to do Conscious Communion. Yep. Yeah, by Reverend Very Elaine Silver. And so I know you're going to enjoy the service, and I know that Faith will serve us well. Thank you for being here, sweetie. I love you. All right. And then there is the wise and powerful Oz, who was my first baby practitioner. Oz and I have basically been together since 1998. A long time. We just celebrated, our 25th anniversary?
Yeah, last year, yeah.
Last year, yeah. And my baby practitioner means that he took all of his classwork with me, except for one class that he took at Mile High. And then he was my board president for many years and decided to move to Florida. And so we lost the ability to have him be practitioner of the service until the pandemic. There are blessings in things, really, because the blessing I got was that you came back to us.
And I got to see you during an Easter service during lockdown. I was just like, wow, is this live or is it Memorex? And it was live.
Right? It was fun. It was a lot of fun doing that. So anyway, so I reached out to him and I said, do you want to participate in our services? And he said yes. And so here we are. And he's our practitioner of the day, which means he's going to pray us in and pray us out. And he'll be available at the end for our 1-minute miracle. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but we are so blessed to have Oz back with us. Thank you, sweetie, for being here. I love you. All right. So let's see. There is a watch party button that you can click on and invite all your friends so they can see what kind of services they can expect on a Sunday morning. And you can answer any questions they might have, because it's a private chat between you. So click on that watch party button and invite all of your friends. I invite you now to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song. This is one of those places where I have to click the button.
Surely the presence of God God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
The presence of God right here, right now. Although I had to pull over to park because I know that God is in the moving traffic as well as in the parking space in the dappled shade the day before the eclipse. I know that God's presence moves through all things at all times, through all people and all places and things. And I know that God's presence is right here, right now, and that it permeates our service and it permeates our lives. I know it's in me, in you, and in all things that we encounter and all that we do. And I know that this blessing passes through our service to you who are listening now and in the future. And I give thanks that that is so. And I know it is good, and I let it be. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Oz. All right. This next song is one that Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver wrote when she was in her practitioner training. And it's a great way to remember that we are all connected. So if you know the words, sing them loud and sing them proud, because you can't bother anybody. If you don't know the words, get them stuck in your mind so that you can remember just how connected we all are.
We are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. I hear it and know it, my being. Spirit is all I am seeing. For God is all there is. Grateful am I to be living, open to what I receive, honoring what I've been given, sharing now what I believe. I remember the oneness around me. I surrender to infinite light, knowing the love that's surrounding me is within me by day and night. And we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. Yes, we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it.
If you're just joining us, say hi, hello, good morning, however you like to greet us. In a facility, we can look out into the crowd and see beaming faces shining back at us. Here we get a number. We don't even get a name. So whether you're visiting in real time or you're visiting later, just drop us a line and say hi, hello, good morning. Let us know that you're here. If you like something that you hear, whether that's something I say or Faith sings or Oz prays, use that like button And if you love something that you hear, of course, use the heart button. We love to get love, so send us some. And if something is really powerful that you hear is powerful to you, by all means, use the wow button. That lets me know that I'm on track and addressing things the way they needed to be addressed. So please provide us that feedback. We love to get feedback. All right. Without further ado, here is Faith singing Conscious Communion by Reverend Fairy Lane Silver.
Thank you. Conscious communion, bringing me back to my soul, a spiritual reunion. I can let go of the control, call forth from the dead. It's a mystical death. Forget the separation. Open to the realization. Aware of my vibration. Conscious communion, bringing me back to my soul. It's a humbling of the ego. With tears I cannot be consoled. I feel that time I let go, bringing in the new from the old. Call forth from the depths. It's a mystical death. Forget the separation. I'm giving for the manifestation, bringing forth transformation. Conscious communion, bringing me back to my soul. What does the source in me need? Dark nights, they help me succeed. Opening to show me what's real. This blessed truth that gives conceal. What does the source in me know? Dark nights, they help me grow. Opening to show me myself. I couldn't be anyone else. Does the source in me know? Dark nights, they help me succeed. Opening to show me what's real. This blessed truth that was concealed. What does the source in me know? The dark nights, they help me grow. Opening to show me myself. I couldn't be anyone else. Conscious communion, bringing me the heart of love. A spiritual reunion, inspired and I am in awe. Call forth from the depths. It's a mystical death. Forget the separation. I'm going for the inspiration, using my imagination, feeling the intoxication, sharing my declaration. seeing an illumination. It's a sacred co-creation. Join me in the celebration. Conscious communion, bringing me back to my soul. Bringing me back to my soul. Bringing me back to my soul. Bringing me back to my soul.
Trying not to clap too loud. Don't want to disturb the baby.
Right.
Thank you, Faith. That was
We
beautiful.
want to make sure at Kroger that all
So today we're going to talk about following the strands. Last year I did a series by Sarah Weiss on creating a miraculous life. And I realized about 2 weeks into the series that I really didn't have enough material to do a series, but I elongated it as much as I could. So I'm going to do a brief overview, and then we're going to talk about following the strands. And that'll make more sense once I tell you what's going on here. So the first part of her workshop is about honoring your true mind. Now, your true mind is, what you actually want, what you actually want to create. And her example is that, when she's a singer, songwriter, author, workshop leader, and society says you have to go out on the road and be in front of audiences to be successful at doing that. So her true mind said to her, there had to be a better way, because she wanted to spend time at the beach and she wanted to spend time with her family and she wanted to be at home. She didn't want to have to travel. And so it just so happened that she was able to do that. And I'll tell you why in a bit. But she followed her true mind, and her true mind said, you can do this. You can be successful in music and writing and all of that without having to travel. The second part of her series is about following your heart, your true heart. And what that means is that the heart and the mind are in sync about what you want. Because a lot of us think that we want something. And as Ram Dass says, the mind that created the miracle is not the mind that receives it. And so we change a lot from the time that we utter the prayer until the time that we receive whatever it is. And probably most of the time, we are praying for something that isn't the thing itself, really. We think we're praying for that, but what we're really praying for is that which speaks to our heart. For instance, if we're praying for a relationship, basically what we want is to feel loved. Or if we're praying for money, basically what we want is to feel security. And so it's about what the feelings are. You've heard me say it 100 times that we have something like 400 thoughts a minute. And if all of them were creative, we would have a world that was totally unstable. Because I don't know about you, but this is what goes on in my mind. These are only the thoughts I'm aware of, not even the thoughts that I'm not aware of. But, I really would like that. Nah, I don't think so. Maybe I'd like this over here. Nah, I don't know. I think I like the first thing. Okay. Now imagine a world where every thought is creative. So in pops the first thing that I want. And then I go, no, I don't really want that. Then it goes away. And then the next thought is I want, that instead. And that pops in. And then I go, no, I don't really want that. And it disappears. And then I say, oh, I want that original thing. And it pops up again. And so that doesn't create a very stable world. So it's a good thing that we have a filter. And what I always say is that your thought atmosphere, the repetitive thoughts that you have that are the most creative, but also the most creative thoughts are the ones that have a strong emotion attached to them, strong feelings. Now we can create with hate, which I don't recommend. We can create with love, which I do recommend. We can create with joy. Whatever emotion you're using, we want to make sure it's a positive emotion to create that, because the thoughts are the vehicle through which the miraculous things happen. And the feelings are actually the fuel that fuels the vehicle. And so whatever we create, if we create with our true mind and our true heart connected, is going to be something that we actually want. In her case, her heart said, I want to be at home. I want to be with my family. I want to spend more time at the beach. I want to live a life that's fulfilling for me instead of being out in front of audiences and traveling to and fro. I mean, I don't even know what to call him anymore. My husband. I'm now a widow. I've joined the Widows Club. He used to travel all the time to do music. And, he spent more time on the road in airports or on the road driving than he did at the actual concerts. The concerts would be 3 hours. They sometimes drove 20 hours to get to that place. So I can understand why her heart and her mind were in sync about how she wanted to become successful at her crafts. And so it's important for us to recognize that just because we have a thought about what we want, if we don't connect the heart to it, if we don't access what we truly, truly want in both our heart and our mind, if we don't do that, then it's not going to be something that's going to fulfill us. It's just going to be one of those things that comes in and we may or may not like it. And if we're creating with a different mind than the one who receives it, then you understand that as you grow, you may want to create something. And then when you get it, it's like, oh, that wasn't exactly what I wanted, right? Which then keeps God from creating a better life because you're not grateful for what you've received. So you set in motion this whole loop that keeps you from creating a miraculous life. So the piece we want to talk about today is the following the strands. And what Sarah Weiss considers that is that in the background, she calls it the universe, I call it God, but in the background, the universe is constantly creating for us. And it's based on where our true mind and our true hearts have come together. And in order for us to find it, or for it to find us, it sends out these threads that tell us where the miracle is, right? And so in her case, what happened was she knew there was a better way than traveling around all the time, doing singing and writing and leading workshops. And a friend suggested to her, why don't you do audiobooks? And she's like, oh, that's a great idea. It really, it's synced between her heart and her mind. So she called up this guy that she knew that had a studio, and she said, hey, this is the thought I had. Do you have any time coming up where I could record an audiobook? And the guy goes, oh, I just had a cancellation this morning. Can you come right now? And she jumped in the car and went over there. And because she'd already written the book, she already knew what she wanted to say. But she ended up in the studio. She ended up doing her audiobooks. And she was able to create the lifestyle that she wanted and still be successful at her craft. She was able to record music. She was able to record her audiobooks. She was able to record her workshops. She was able to do all of that from the comfort of her own home. And that was the miraculous life that she had created. So I want to talk about that a little bit today because I know that we get messages all the time, and most of the time we disregard them. I know I have several times. And it's important for us to, if it's not going to cause you any harm, if your life is not going to be in any danger, it's important to follow those thoughts that pop into your head. Some people get pictures, and some people just get feelings, and some people get these ahas that happen in their head. And some people, actually hear a voice that says, do this. Whatever that is, you want to make sure you follow it. And we want to honor how we receive information anyway, but you always want to honor it. There's a story that, it's a true story, actually. This guy took a different route home from work than he normally does. And he ended up in front of this market, and he doesn't drink milk. So he had this thought that he needed to buy a couple gallons of milk. And being the good steward of his thoughts, he went, okay, great. So he ran in, he got a couple gallons of milk, put them in the car, and he drove home. And again, he's on a different route than he usually takes. And he winds up in front of this house, and he gets this urge to stop in front of this house. And he goes up to the door and he hears this baby crying. And he has this milk with him. And he says to the woman who answers the door, I think this milk is for you. And she begins to cry. And she says, I've been on my knees all morning praying for milk for my babies because I can't afford milk. And so he hands over the milk and he goes on with his day. And, all of that was because he listened to or followed the strands of the miraculous life he had been shown. And, there's all these instances where, I don't know if you have this experience, but we just want to disregard what those are, those messages. Like the guy, Dr. Fred Vogt, one of my mentor ministers, used to tell the story about this guy who's stranded on an island, and this boat shows up, and the captain says, hey, I can take you to safety. And the guy goes, nope, that's okay. God is going to rescue me. And then a helicopter shows up and he goes, nope, God's going to rescue me. And, all these things keep showing up. And finally, God says to him, I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. What more do you want? And he said, well, I wanted you to appear before me and rescue me, which actually happened. But, it's good for us to take that first thought that comes into our mind, follow it. I've had a couple of instances where I said no and disregarded it that have turned out not so fun. For instance, one time that it happened, I was a computer consultant at a law firm, and I was installing a Novell network system. And back in those days, in the early 80s, they didn't have like a save and continue. It was save and exit, right? And it takes a long time to go back in and start the process up again. And while I was installing 25 users, I worked 6.5, 7 hours on it. And I got this thought in my head, you should save right now. And I thought, I only have one more user. I can get this one user done. And then I'm done. And about 10 minutes later, the furnace in the building blew up and we lost all power. And so I lost all of that work. But not only did I lose all that work, but I lost the income from that work, because you can't charge a client for 6.5 hours of work without producing something. But I learned a valuable lesson from that when that voice speaks up, I didn't hear a voice. I just had a thought pop in my head. But when that happens, I need to pay attention to it. I didn't learn the lesson completely, though, because later on, not so drastic, but kind of, actually kind of funny. At the time, I was working out at the gym every evening after work. And I was leaving the house and I was in a rush, and I looked over at my workout shoes and I thought, I should probably grab those. And I thought, I have such a busy day today. There's no way I'm going to be able to make it to work out tonight. So I left them behind. And at lunchtime, I had to go quite a ways away to do a pre-sort mailing, those bulk mailings. I had to go to the post office. And it's the middle of summer, July or August, I can't remember. And I'm in a business suit with nylons and 5-inch heels. And I go to the post office, and on the way back, my car broke down. Now, those of you who know Denver, back in those days, there was nothing in between. I worked at Colorado Boulevard and I-25. And where I went was Arapahoe Road and I don't know. I can't remember where it is. It's on Arapahoe Road, though. And Dayton, that's what it was. And which is quite a ways away. And in between 225 and Hampton, my car broke down. And there is nothing out there. I mean, literally nothing out there at the time. Now they have a few buildings out there, but at that time there was just absolutely nothing. And being afraid to hitch a ride, I thought, well, I have to walk. And so I walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and walked. Now, mind you, it's 105 degrees. I'm in a business suit, which I took the jacket off, but, and nylons and 5-inch heels. Excuse me. And I had that thought of like, why didn't I just take those stupid workout shoes? At least I still would have been hot, but at least I wouldn't have ended up with all those blisters on my feet. Because not only could I not work out for a while, I couldn't even walk for a while. And so I've learned that when those things pop in my head, pay attention. And I think that that's a lesson for all of us to do that. What's interesting here is that a neighbor of mine took me to lunch the other day, and the conversation went towards those kinds of things. And I was telling her about the milk, and she told me, reminded me of that story about the helicopter and the boat. And I had already picked my sermon, and I had not really, this is from a year ago, and I hadn't really thought about what the content of the sermon was yet. So we're having this discussion, and I go to listen to the sermon, and I'm like, ha, ha, ha. It was those two stories. And so I find it really interesting, because where I get my material from sometimes is a TV show, and sometimes it's a movie, and sometimes it's a song on the radio, or sometimes it's a conversation like that I was having with my neighbor. Because they spark something in me that says, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to talk about. For instance, I always wanted to come up with a way for people to remember their, affirmations or whatever. And I was driving by this church one day on Colorado Boulevard, and on the church was this thing called Affirmants, that they sold Affirmants there. And it sparked a whole thing in my head about, oh God, what if we could do fortune cookies and have the affirmation be the little tag? Well, I couldn't figure out how to do that. But with the Affirmants, you just get a little mint box and put the affirmation in it. And so we passed those out one Sunday. And I started talking about Affirmants as a method to remember our messages. So anyway, I think it's important for us to note that the way that you create a miraculous life is, number one, knowing what your true mind wants, and knowing what your true heart wants, and making sure those are connected, but also following the strands that say, okay, you said you wanted this, so here's this, go get it. And again, I said, as long as your life is not in any danger, it doesn't hurt anything to just follow the strands, right? You get the aha, you take care of it. Sometimes that means just going somewhere else, going a different route, and you avoid an accident that happened on that route or something like that, So Sarah Wise says, by becoming present, by both turning inward and outward at the same time, by becoming aware of yourself as one of one, you will begin to understand the answer to every question. You will be guided step by step to what you already know. It is all there when you relax into the infinite expanding energies of the universe, which are you. So miracles happen 1 billion times a day. In other words, they're not that miraculous. They're common. They're ordinary occurrences. They're created by the universe, which is you, right? The universe is inside of us as well as pictured out here. And not only that, but the universe isn't just continually creating miracles. It's continually leading us straight to them. So all we have to do is follow the strands. That's her whole thing about following the strands. And let me see if I can find the next quote from her, since I've already covered that. So she says, when you're in the early stages of finding strands, the universe will send them to you in an uber obvious, unmistakable way, such as an actual sign, as in a billboard, a road sign, a song on the radio. For her, what happened was she was not following the strands as they were coming up for her. So this Plymouth wagon landed right in front of her. There was, I don't know if it was a tornado or an accident, but it literally landed right in front of her. And she realized that it was like I wasn't paying attention, so the universe had to get my attention somehow. So it got her attention that way. And I've had instances where things get my attention almost in a negative way, and I don't want that. I would prefer to have messages in emails or on the radio or billboards or anything but that. And I've learned to try and to stay as conscious as I can. Last week I talked about conscious eating as a perfect example. That's not my thing. I don't do well with the conscious eating, but I try to be conscious when I brush my teeth. I try to stay conscious in everyday circumstances. It's very easy for me to go unconscious and not realize, like, how did I get somewhere? Because I was driving unconsciously. And so I really focus my attention on being conscious in every moment and making sure that I'm following the strands as they are given to me. For instance, I know you've heard me talk about the soap dish I created. I mean, that's just one of those weird kind of circumstances. I was having trouble with my, I have this like little indentation in my tub for a soap dish, and the soap, it's kind of at a slant, so the soap kept flying out of it. And I thought, one day I was just exasperated, and I went, what I need is one of those rubber soap dishes that fits in there. Then I can put the soap on so it won't keep falling out. And I was so exasperated that I had a lot of emotion behind it, but I didn't give it another thought. It just popped out, and I let it be. And next thing I know, we always used to buy, I guess I won't be buying them anymore, like I think it's a 12-pack of Ivory soap, because Lynn liked to use Ivory soap. And we had been buying those 12 packs forever, and we had never seen a soap dish in them ever. And one time, right after that, I bought this dozen soaps, and in there was a rubber soap dish. Now, I've never seen another one since. It was just that moment I created something so powerfully because I had so much emotion wrapped up in it, but I didn't keep the thought going in my head. You know how I talked about last week, you have to release and let go. And I did. I just venting, and I let it go. And it became a very powerful creation of mine. And that soap dish lasted for a really, really long time, and I never could find another one. Excuse me. But in that moment, I followed a thread. And it was very powerful for me to understand those little inklings that come to us and why it's important for us to follow them. So I want to do a little meditation here, not a big one, but just a little meditation, because I want us to be very conscious about what we have created and what we haven't created, and what we've liked and what we haven't liked. So first I'm going to do this little meditation, and then I'm going to move right into prayer after that. So we're ready. I'd like you to take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose, down into your belly. Hold it for a second, and then release it through your mouth. Just relax your body and your mind and get yourself in a state of receptivity. Take another deep cleansing breath in through your nose, hold it, and release. And take yet one more deep cleansing breath in through your nose, hold it. And this time when you release, I want you to go, to really force that out. Notice how your body is very relaxed and your mind is relaxed and free and open to the idea that we're going to be doing this. And I'd like you to think about a time when you followed a thread and it manifested in something. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be something as simple as the soap dish, or it could be something much bigger, where the synchronicities seem to have found you. Just let that scenario fall into your mind right now. And I want you to tap into how you were feeling in that moment, how it felt to follow a thread and realize that it created the reality you were wanting. What emotion comes up around that? Let yourself just feel those emotions and be present in the moment with that. And now I'd like you to remember a time when you were presented with a thread and you disregarded it. Everybody's got those stories. I'm sure you can find one. And then what was the emotion you felt at that time? And what were the consequences that resulted from not following that thread? And how did the consequences make you feel? Now I'd like you to call back at the memory of the time where you followed the thread. Hi, Fred, Kathy, Marvin, Julian. I want you to tap into that emotion again of what it was like to follow that thread. How it felt. And now let's cement that into your body by using your ring finger and your thumb and just tapping it in. Cementing that emotion, cementing that feeling of what it was like to follow the thread. So right now, I just turn my awareness to the infinite power, the infinite presence, the infinite life of God, to that place within me that knows beyond human understanding just how powerful God is, how beautiful, how loving, how available that inner presence is. I know that that is where I find myself in the midst of God, my very essence, my very life, my very being. It is who and what I am. And every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages. That is God flowing through all of life. Powerfully. Exceptionally. I know the same truth to be so for this team that God has provided, because I know that Faith and Oz and Karen and Elaine and Tina are one in that infinite power, that infinite presence of God. There's absolute flow through of that God essence into their lives. Every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that same wisdom of the ages. And so I know that to be so for every one here, whether that's in real time or later on, where there is no place where one leaves off and the other begins. We are all connected by it, through it, as it. Otaku Yasin, all my brethren, we are all related. So I bless this coming week with infinite opportunities to exercise or flex that muscle of following the threads, to understanding how we are guided and led by those threads to the powerful, miraculous life that we wish to create. I know that as we follow these threads, we absolutely experience that miraculous life we've been yearning for. I know the same truth to be so for any name that is in the ministry of prayer. For whatever you are experiencing, God is the answer. The movement of God in our lives is the focus of our attention and intention. And because of that, there's a clear pathway to that miraculous life from where we are right now. I pull back the veil and reveal this truth here and now, and I claim it in their names as good and very good. As I allow myself to fill with gratitude, to know that this is so, to let it be. And so it is. Amen.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world.
Thank you, Faith. Now is our opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and offerings, and your opportunity to express gratitude for that which you have already received in the physical realm, or perhaps something that you have created in the mind of God and have not yet experienced here in the physical realm. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to go with me to www.oasiscsl.org, and about 2/3 down the page is our offering affirmation. I'll have you say that with me, and then underneath that is the Contribute Now button. So let me just say a few things about the Contribute Now button, or what you're contributing to. In a facility, you have rent and utilities and all kinds of expenses that are related to having a facility. We don't have a facility, so what you're contributing to is our vision and our mission. Our vision is a healed world globally, and our mission is healing the world one person at a time. So when you're contributing money to this, excuse me, what you're doing is you are funding our ability to market to the world. We already have Germany, the UK, which is England, the Netherlands, which is Holland, India, and the Philippines tuning in. But we would really like to make sure that we are reaching globally, even to those places where they have to use a translator to hear what I'm saying. I just really want us to be able to get there. And so the way that you help us is by contributing, and that funds our mission to get to our vision. So that's what that Contribute Now button is all about. So right now, please, whether it's in real time or later on, please go with me now to www.oasiscsl.org and say this offering affirmation with me. This perfect gift is spirit in form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive. And so it is. All right, hit that contribute now button and make it possible for us to reach our vision through our mission. All right, we have, all this time I do the same announcements and yet I can't remember them. We have this wonderful team of licensed practitioners from coast to coast who serve our ministry of prayer. They're the healing arm of the church, but we call them the God Squad. And they serve our church in 3 different ways. The first way is if you have a prayer request that you would like something for prayer, you can put it in the comments section and they will pray every day on those requests for a week. If you don't want that to be public, you can DM Faith and she will make sure that she gets it to the God Squad to pray on. The second way they serve our congregation is that they provide spiritual guidance by appointment for a fee. And so if you are interested in a session for spiritual guidance, you will look them up on our website, see which one speaks to you, and then get a hold of them through Facebook. You can message them and let them know that you would like an appointment for spiritual guidance. They will let you know how to pay for that. We don't get involved in that. They have their own business. So some of them use Wise, some of them use PayPal, some of them use Cash App and Venmo and Zelle. I don't get involved in that, but they'll let you know how to pay for the session, and then they will reach out to you by video chat at the appointed time. The third way our practitioners serve our ministry is, as Oz is today, being practitioner of the day, which means he does the invocation and the benediction maybe today. And he's available at the end for our 1-minute miracle, which is not a time for counseling, but it is a time where you can share with him, challenge you're experiencing, and he will stop, drop, and pray with you right then and there. You can reach out to him through video chat. And if he doesn't answer right away, it probably means he's on with someone else. So try back later. Let's see. If you would like to be part of our online community, just type more in the comment section, and Faith will add you to our public facing group page on Facebook or Meta or whatever it's called now. And let's see, Brooks and Bailey. Brooks and Bailey has necklaces and bracelets. I like to advertise their mala beads because they're so good for doing affirmations. Their mala bead necklaces are really wonderful. I always suggest you do 100 affirmations a day, and there's 108 beads in a mala bead necklace. And you just do 1 bead at a time until you get to the end. Their bracelets have 54. This is an amethyst mala bead necklace, but they have other gems, and they start at like $30 and up. This one is $60. And I think their bracelets are 25, if I remember right, 15 or 25. I'm not sure. But you can reach them either by brooksandbailey0307@gmail.com, or they have a Facebook page now. So you can click on their Facebook page. Whenever they have an event where they're going to have a booth, I usually try to share that on my page. But all the proceeds go to Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue, which is a very worthy cause. So definitely, there's Oz. Definitely check these ladies out. And then I always like to support those who support us. So the first one is Reverend Fairy Lane Silver. We would not be able to have music on Sundays without these 2 ladies. Should come up here pretty soon. You want to, Faith? Oh, there we go. The link to her music is right there. She doesn't have a way for you to pay online because she can't update her website for some reason. And so you go on there, you see what album you want to, or what CD you want to buy. And then you reach out to her by email. She travels the country singing. And so she carries the CDs in her car. And she's really good about, once you paid for them, making sure that she sends them out the very next day. So definitely check her out. Then there is Karen Drucker, whose website does work. And in Karen Drucker's case, you can buy it by the song, by the CD. You can get karaoke files. You can get songbooks. And some of the songbooks actually have American Sign Language in them for those songs. So definitely check these two ladies out. You can buy an entire CD from Karen Drucker. She has really wonderful like chant CDs, Songs of Spirit 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think it is. She also has some that are just music and not really chants, but she has some awesome music, so definitely check her out. And both of these ladies are on Google, Spotify. Help me out here, Faith.
YouTube, Spotify, Pandora. Elaine Silver is on Alexa. I think that's it.
Okay. That's more than I was coming up with.
Those are the three mains, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then check out our website at www.oasiscsl.org. There you're going to find pictures of us at picnics and our ordinations and that kind of thing. Kind of let you have a glimpse of what the spiritual community is like so you can get to know us. We are going to be working on the website. It's probably going to be another month before I have the energy for that. I'm right now dealing with all the necessary stuff that you do when your spouse is gone. And so all of my energies are going that direction. But in the meantime, there are some videos and some audio files up there. But in the meantime, please go to YouTube for the video sermons and SoundCloud for the audio sermons from years ago. And it's all under S. Tucker. So you can look us up and hear all the sermons that we've done. All right. I think that's it. And I'm going to move to Oz for the benediction now.
I know that God's presence is in us, as us, all around us, here and for all time. For wherever we are, God is, and whenever we are, God is there. In its full presence, I allow God to roll forth through our lives this week and in coming weeks, and I know that the blessings that unfold are perfect as they manifest. I give thanks that this is so, and I let it be. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much for being here. I know there's 1,000 things you could be doing on a Sunday morning, and we're blessed to have you here with us. Please join us next week and every week at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. We'd love to see you there. Well, we don't see you. Hear you. No, we don't hear you. We like to see the things you type in. Let's put it that way. We'd love to have you here with us. Let's put it that way. All right. In the meantime, please stay safe, and we will see you next week. Bye.